Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SB Reacts, where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Devin Farney titled Slow Sunday. And if we switch over to here, this is off of their album titled Sane Old Self. It's my first impressions with them. I'm going to listen through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. It's a bit of a short song, but straight to the point.
Good morning, sunshine. Good morning, sun. Good morning, everyone.
Great coloring
Outside now.
with the flutes.
The air is clean. The grass a lovely green. Slow Sunday driving, slow Sunday drive across the countryside.
It's just so pleasant, isn't it?
I see my neighbors, I see my friends with scars upon their skin.
I adore this.
I hope it never ends.
Oh man, that's so beautiful, like genuinely. Honestly, like low-key, that is one of my favorite songs I've reviewed in quite a long time. Like, no hyperbole. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Devin Farney titled Slow Sunday off of the Sane Old Self album. I'm blown away by this track. What do we think it's about? I think it's about someone talking about the slow Sunday that they hope they'll never end, but they talk about what's really interesting as they look at their friends and everyone else, and they've got scars, and I'm kind of wondering if it's like the throes of going through the week, getting to that slow Sunday where things are finally okay again. I think that's kind of what we're discussing here, and I absolutely adore that. It's not just because maybe I just relate quite heavily to the story, you know, but it's also because of the way it's sung. The way that Devin is singing here is so fragrant and floral. It's just so pretty, and it's got such a nice kind of, it's almost like head voice oriented, but it's got like body to it, don't get me wrong. It's just that it's like a breath of fresh air, and it harmonizes so neatly with a lot of the cheerier mid to higher range elements within the arrangement. It's just fantastic. We show solid vocal technique there. We have an interesting effect on the mix, which kind of makes me think of songs within the 70s and 80s, which is a really interesting kind of nostalgic vibe to it. But at the same time, I think that it's the correct choice here. I feel like if the vocals were too raw, it might have been just a little bit kind of intense. So I think that that's a great choice production-wise. It's just honestly really compelling melodies. It was a complicated arrangement harmonically, so I feel like to be able to navigate those as well is very, very good. So well done on that front. And it's just very personable, and the way we express ourselves is really friendly and positive, and I think that makes sense with everything. So things are already quite well connected. It's also the fact that this track structurally, outside of how the story and, you know, the music, the lyrics, how they connect and relate, and are very well done. It's just that it's very short, but it kind of is all it really needed to be. Like, it's such so succinct and to the point. Great use of the real estate there. We get the tail in bits and bobs. We have little instrumental parts in between with like the flutes and the whistles and stuff. And then we're kind of done. And it's just so effortless. It's just the transitions are seamless. It helps, I suppose, that I can look at the chord chart on the screen as the music video goes by. But like for instance here, I have faith listening through this first track that the rest of the album is going to be dope. Like genuinely, I think it's going to be really, really good. And that is not something I take for granted every time I do reviews. I think part of what makes it really interesting is that you have it in 5/4, which is unusual, kind of unconventional time signature that's very kind of jazzy, but it doesn't sit on that jazz too much. It kind of has this great sense of swing to it, and it flows through effortlessly. There's a bounciness with the melodies on like the organ and such, and it's not too compressed or kind of blown. There's no harsh edges whatsoever, which makes sense for the subject matter. But the bass is so full and heavy as well. Like it's not like over the top, but there's a fullness to the bass tone which fills out that spectrum really well and works really neatly with the root notes of those chord progressions with extensions overall over top. The flutes on top are wonderful. I like the perkiness of them. I think the staccato notes are a great choice on those. I feel like kind of getting the bounce around just makes it a bit more fun. And there are more string sections later on there where we kind of have these extended harmonies with held notes there, and it has a great sense of, it does sound grandiose. It's after the skin, the scars upon the skin there, there's a sense of drama and tension to that, as if that's something that we need to pay attention to, because it is. But it's not just that they're saying those words, it's that the music is also suggesting it. So there's a great connection between what you're hearing and what you're being told, and that is integral to the experience, to a positive experience for the song. Then things need to make sense. And to have that, again, that iteration of that main sort of like flute melody, but to have the whistle involved there to further harmonize it and kind of keep it sounding a little bit kind of like bright and cheery and more interesting with the diversity compositionally and performatively is really positive as well. And to have like a kind of an interesting minor leaning at the end before the resolution is great. We had some vocal tails as well, a bit more development there, which was fantastic. We just continued to try and add things as we went through a track that was already short because we did not want to take the listener's attention for granted. And so outside of a really articulate performance, I loved the way that we were handling ourselves on the kit there with potentially the use of brushes on the rides, kicks and snares. The way the bass, again, as I mentioned with the root notes, the flutes, doing some diatonics there despite some of the interesting chromaticisms, potentially parallel majors and minors in the chord progressions. I would need more time to think about this. There's a lot of positive stuff I want to say about it, and I feel like I might be kind of like repeating myself with those. So just for the purpose of keeping this video relatively succinct, no complaints at all in regards to how it was written or performed there. Great sense of time and pace there with the kit. I feel like the instruments themselves were actually played well as written well. And there was a great sense of dynamic range overall, not just as per the dynamic markers, but also just in terms of keeping the track sounding alive. So I think that was excellent. You move on from that, the way that we handled the theme itself, like clearly it's majorish, but there are some twists and turns and like moments where you're like, oh, that's a minor, oh, that signals that something weird is going on, oh, there's a bit more kind of intensity in the upper ranges here, what's this happening? There are questions that are asked at the end of certain lines there that make sense with what we're discussing there. It's like a new chapter is being unsheathed. I love it. A new page is being turned within a track, again, that is so short. You have sophistication, maturity within the extensions, within those harmonies there, that's really positive. And I just feel like if you just stuck to normal major and minor chords, it just wouldn't have had the same kind of sass to it. But at the same time, the kind of, not sass, but like the same pull to it, should I say. It wouldn't have been as effective. But I also feel like it's credit to Devin Farney for the fact that they're able to write in a way where those made sense, because that is also very difficult to do unless you know what you're doing. But ultimately, I just feel there's a few different sections in this track with individual ideas that transfer effortlessly through one another, and they're not taken for granted. And so moving on from that, we basically have ourselves a track where just the studio production as well, the recording, mixing, and mastering is well handled. You could hear the vocals clearly. There was an interesting effect. I'm not quite sure what the effect on the vocals was there, but it kind of had it kind of reminded me of a lot of the progressive stuff from the 70s and 80s, which I appreciate. Again, everything to do with like the organs, the keys, the drums, etc., the flutes, the whistles. I think there's also a guitar in there. I think there's also maybe a good strummed guitar part there. It sounds like there's that little bit of texture in there, although I can't pinpoint it. It might be in the center of the stereo field, I'm not sure. Either way, the guitarists were handled. The frequency spectrum was so well decorated. It was so full without any weird resonant frequencies. The music surrounded you in the headphones. It was such a joy to listen to. It had dynamic range. Things weren't the same loudness all the time, but things were well glued. And it was nice and loud without pumping, without any issues of bus compression limiting. They were handled well. And yeah, honestly, nothing I change about it. This is transcendent, and I won't go further because it's going to sound like I'm being a bit too positive, but it's just, I feel like there's something really special here, and I wish Devin Farney all the best in future with the music, because this is my review of this track from an act named Devin Farney titled Slow Sunday, again off of the Same Old Self album, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and their YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.